Tex-Mex is a popular weeknight dinner at my house. We are always making tacos, enchiladas, fajitas, mostly because, well, my kids will eat it with less than normal fuss. But go ahead, Google chicken fajitas, I dare you. 42 million results. Rather than make it 42 million in one, I figured let's cook from what's out there and try to find something delicious on the internet. This is the Dinnernet. Okay, so we're making chicken fajitas today, and I want to cook 3 different chicken fajita recipes from very different sources. One from a very popular website, one from the first page of Google, and one from an off-the-grid website. Let's cook. All right, so we are making a popular chicken fajitas recipe today. This recipe is from Food & Wine. Maybe you've heard of it. It's a website, it's a magazine. They do a lot of different stuff. And this recipe was actually written by an 8-year-old kid. The whole recipe is 125 words, right? Then Food & Wine comes in, they put a 185-word wine recommendation on top of it. The correct wine pairing for chicken fajitas is a margarita. I like to think of this recipe as basically a chicken fajita in a bag. You marinate the stuff, you put it all in a bag, you cook it, tortilla, delicious, right? They use their own little spice mix here. So you have some cumin, some chili powder, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, cornstarch. Now, I must say, the cornstarch kind of threw me off. I've never really seen cornstarch in a fajita recipe, but we're gonna give it a shot and see how it ends up. I'm gonna add a little olive oil to it and then some water. You want about a 1/4 cup of water. Be right back, water break. All right, water. And I just whisk this up in the thing. If you have a bag, you could, just shake it up, I guess. Smells like tacos. So we're gonna slice this up. I like to go about half inch, 1/4 inch slices on this. And this is all gonna go into our marinade mix there. So there's only a few veggies in this. There's an onion and a green pepper. Again, this is like about as basic as fajitas can get. For my onion, I just like to slice it up. All this goes in the same thing. It's an all-in-one deal. Green onion, green pepper. Rachel, quit laughing at me. All right, so all these peppers are going in, and I'm just gonna throw the lid on this and shake it up, basically. Perfect. Through the magic of television, we will wait 15 minutes for this to marinate. Marinate it, perfect, good. Let's cook it. Okay, while our pan heats up, let's check out some Food & Wine reviews, huh? Lynn, 1-star review. I followed the recipe. Came out like chicken stew. Huh. I think a better option would be to grill the chicken and cook the vegetables in the pan. I agree with the others as to the cornstarch, just burns in the pan and prevents the other ingredients from getting a nice sizzle or char. Huh. In the internet, that's actually a reasonable 1-star review. The cornstarch seems like it might be a problem. I read some of the other reviews also, but we're gonna see how it turns out when we cook it here. Karen, 5 stars. Karen said was looking for a quick chicken fajita recipe, made these tonight. They were a hit. I will be saving this for future fajita nights. I didn't have cornstarch, and you didn't really need it. So one of the only 5-star reviews on this recipe didn't use cornstarch. We'll see where we end up. I like to do this in a cast iron skillet. You could use any kind of skillet that you wanted. Okay, olive oil in the pan. You want this to be pretty hot. I kind of always worry that the chicken and the veggies won't cook at the same time, but this is a no frills recipe. So everything goes in at once, and we're gonna see how it goes. Obviously, we're gonna wait for the chicken to be cooked, and hopefully the veggies are not completely overcooked by then, so. So I think the idea with the cornstarch is it kind of makes like a sauce for the fajitas, but the worry is that it can actually over thicken and get kind of like gloopy on there. And gloopy is not a good word for fajitas. You don't want gloopy anything really, but specifically fajitas. The problem with cooking everything together is you can't get any of it perfect. The veggies are messing up with the chicken, and the chicken's messing up with the veggies, and it's in theory faster, but it doesn't always work very well. It sounds good, you're like, oh, throw it all in the pan, cook it. I don't know. It's not my favorite, honestly. But when I do fajitas, I like them to have some like char on them a little bit, and ooh, there's a little chunk of char right there. One chunk of char. The last thing this recipe calls for is a little lime, which it says to do right at the end, so right before serving. I like this method. Rather than putting it in the marinade, adding it at the end gives it like a really fresh citrus flavor. So just squeeze that in like that. Use your muscles. I like to go straight from the skillet onto the tortilla, into my mouth. That is the preferred way to eat fajitas. This is like just good old classic Tex-Mex here. I like to do a little salsa on mine. Maybe a few avocado slices. On top there. Cheese, if you're a cheese person. Fajitas are fine without cheese, but if you like a little cheese, it's good. Ta-da! Food and Wine chicken fajitas. Popular recipe. Super easy to make. Let's give it a shot. See how we did. How much stuffing is too much stuffing in a fajita? This is pretty close. This is a very full fajita. Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. Whoa, God. I need a bigger mouth. Not bad. For how easy this recipe is to make, it's actually pretty delicious. I still think we can improve on it a little bit, but it's a great starting point for fajitas. So let's move on to the second recipe we're making today. It is from the top page of Google. So if you Google chicken fajitas, you're gonna see it as one of the top results. For our top 10 chicken fajita recipe, we are using a website called Taste of Home. If you've never seen this website before, it is basically like a user-submitted website, so people submit recipes to it, thousands of recipes, probably hundreds of thousands of recipes, and the best recipes, in theory, kind of bubble to the top. This one is one of the most popular recipes on Taste of Home, and also was on the top page of Google, so in theory, it's supposed to be pretty legit. Also, luckily, it's called flavorful chicken fajitas, so it distinguishes itself from all the unflavorful chicken fajitas that are out there on the internet, so that's a bonus. So, for the marinade, this has some interesting ingredients in it. It's got seasoned salt, which I've never seen in a fajita recipe before. That's kind of a new thing. So this is gonna go in, it's got oregano, cumin, paprika, chili powder, all that normal stuff. And then, while most fajita recipes use lime, this one actually uses lemon, which is very interesting. So, we're gonna squeeze in a lemon. So you chop up your chicken into about 1/2-inch strips. That's what they say, right? 1/2 inch? Yeah, cut into thin strips. These are thin. And then we need some oil. The recipe uses canola oil, but olive oil would probably work also. And then we are gonna just marinate all of our chicken in this. Now, this recipe does specify a marinade time of at least 1 hour, which I think is pretty good. If you're doing thin strips, you're gonna be left with a really nicely marinated fajita recipe there. So, veggies. This recipe I really like because it cooks the veggies first, then the chicken later. So you can make sure they're both cooked perfectly. We're gonna use half of this bad boy. Now, normally I would put in a whole onion, but this recipe has some interesting stuff to it. So it uses not only white onion, but also scallion onion, like these little green onions. So we're gonna chop those up too. All right, so our skillet is hot. Put in our onions. Woo! Yes, okay. And then we're doing, what kind of pepper? They want red and green. Half of the green. Half of the red. Cool, that looks pretty good. Stir this around a little bit. Oh yeah. These are cool, these little scallion onions. So you could chop these. What I like to do is just get some kitchen shears and you can just kind of snip them in there. And these get kind of charred and delicious in there. It's really nice, I like them a lot. Maybe these are flavorful after all. Okay. Stir these a little bit. It doesn't say to season these, but I always like to season my peppers and onions a little bit. So I'm just gonna do a little pinch of salt, little pinch of pepper. Let's read some reviews for this flavorful chicken fajita. Christy gave it a 5-star. She said, My family and I love this recipe. The chicken was so flavorful, and we'll be making this again? Question mark. I'm confused by the punctuation of the comment, but I'm glad you liked it, Christy. It does seem like it's gonna be a delicious recipe. So let's go on to a 2-star review. This is from Nora018. And honestly, there were very few like 1 or 2 star reviews on this recipe. Nora said, I haven't made this yet, but plan on it. Does anyone know if I use olive oil or if it will make a difference? Nora, you are literally breaking the internet by rating a recipe that you have not tried. Please do not do that, okay? But really, there are almost no bad reviews of this recipe. It seems like a great recipe. People really love it. Had hundreds of positive reviews. So our veggies are starting to get some nice color on them. And then when these are done, we're gonna pull them out and then we'll add our chicken, toss everything together, and we will be in good shape. All right, so we're gonna pull all these out now. Cast iron is the way to go here, people. This is a nice way to cook these. And then it's okay if you got a few little stragglers, no big deal. All right, and then we're gonna go in with our chicken right away. If your skillet's dry, you can add a little oil. There we go. Spread it out a little bit so you get a nice even layer. Let's try our veggies. Man, these look delicious. Oh, great. I love cooking them different. At different times, I mean. That's good. What do you think, Rachel? Different time, same time? Rachel says different. If Rachel and I disagreed, I don't know. Actually, trust Rachel probably if that happens. Ooh, yeah, see, now we're getting some nice char on these, and they're cooking faster because the pan isn't super crowded. So we're keeping a single layer of stuff here. We're gonna end up with a better result, I promise. These cooked so fast. This actually cooked faster than the first popular recipe that we did where we put everything in the pan together. I will say though, I still think cook times on these recipes are a little off. This recipe said it's gonna cook in like 6 minutes, and I don't know, it just takes longer than that. So don't trust the cook times on these recipes. This is the kind of fajita. Ooh, I like that little onion that got left behind. Little lost soldier of an onion there. Going in the onion bowl. Yeah, so these are almost done. We're gonna toss everything together and then we will be in fajita mode, totally. The char on this chicken turned out great. Cut it in half. Oh yeah. We are good on that. So now everything goes together, right? So we cooked our chicken perfectly, we cooked our veg perfectly, and now we just wanna kinda combine the flavors. This recipe also recommends flour tortilla. I actually like fajitas with flour, but I know some people are corn only. I'm sure there's zero chance of anybody commenting on that. How's that look, guys? Pretty good. It's a pretty good looking fajita right there. We're gonna do a little salsa topping on it, a little sour cream. Got these special avocado tongs. Never seen such a thing before. Look at that. Look at that. This recipe also uses cilantro, which I love. Not everybody's a cilantro fan, but a little cilantro on there. And boom, that is our flavorful chicken fajita from Taste of Home. I'm gonna give it a shot, see how we did. I must say, it's extremely flavorful. It's really good. I can see why this recipe has almost no bad reviews. I mean, it has a really great marinade, homemade marinade. The lemon juice is a really nice touch, actually. And I love cooking the things in different phases. It gives you a nice char on the chicken and the veggies. It all comes together. It's a really nice fajita. I can see why this recipe is very popular. So, that's awesome. This is a great fajita. Let's move on to our third recipe we're gonna make for chicken fajitas. This one is off the grid. For our off-the-grid chicken fajita recipe today, we are going to a website called The Modern Proper. This website is ran by Holly and Natalie. They make really delicious recipes and they take amazing photos. Seriously, just check out the recipe just for the photos, if nothing else. And why I like this recipe is they use a cool technique which is really popular on the internet right now, which is a sheet pan style. So the idea is that you marinate everything, you put it all in one sheet pan, you bake it, and then you're done. It doesn't get much easier than that. I'm gonna chop up my chicken first, so that's done. And then we'll talk about the marinade. So This recipe is a little bigger than some of the other recipes because it needs to fill up the whole sheet pan. So I'm gonna add this to my bowl. And these you do wanna make sure you get them all the same thickness because they're gonna be baking. So, you wanna make sure they cook evenly. All this goes in, 1, 2, 3. This is the homemade taco seasoning that they recommend. It's really classic, has great flavors, some oregano, cumin, garlic powder, chili powder, all that stuff. We're just gonna stir it up and we are gonna add about 1/4 cup of it to our chicken. This might be like all of it, pretty much. Maybe not quite. It looks like a lot, but we're gonna add other stuff to this too, so don't worry. Some olive oil and some fresh lime. There we go. All the colors of peppers are going in this bad boy. So let's get chopping. Oh, hold on 1 second. Gosh, it's hard to stir. Yeah, okay, let's try this. Have the right size bowl if you're gonna be making a big recipe like this. Now this is looking good. So this recipe says to marinate this for an hour. I think that's about right. You could go less time, I guess, if you were in a hurry, say like you're filming a cooking show, but generally an hour is a really good idea. And then when you're ready, you just take a cooking sheet and you spread everything out. And you want it to be in a nice, even layer. That is the key. So grab a pair of tongs and really just separate everything so it's cooking evenly. All right, y'all love the tasty style transitions. We gotta do one at least, right, during this episode. So let's do whoop. How about that for tasty style, right? 1 second, chicken fajitas are done. Let's check out a review for this before we make fajita, right? So, there's not a lot of comments or reviews on this post, but here's one that I liked from Doc RLS. They said, file this recipe away for quite a while. Finally tried it last night. Very good, very easy. Put in some mushrooms that need to be used. Okay, cool with that. Only question is that your recipe really did not make a marinade, but more of a pasty mix to coat the ingredients. I doubled olive oil, but still not really a marinade in my opinion. Regardless, very good. The Modern Proper replied, actually, sometimes people actually do reply to comments, and they said, hi there, yes, the marinade is quite thick, depending on how big or juicy your lime is. So glad you liked it. Well, I must say, the internet is great, and that all seemed to work out fine. I thought the marinade was about right. My lime was enough juice, I think, to make a marinade, and I added a little bit of extra olive oil, but it turned out great. So let's give it a taste and see how it works. Now, I like serving it sheet pan style. This is cool. You just kind of grab the pieces that you want, make your own little fajita. I love all the colors in this version. This is, man, no matter what version you choose, I think using some different peppers is nice. And a little salsa on this guy. I'm gonna do a little sour cream and some cilantro. Boom. All right, off the grid, chicken fajita right here. Let's give it a shot. It's really good. The homemade seasoning, spot on. I do think if you're gonna cook all your stuff at one time, go sheet pan instead of skillet. You have more surface area, you get a little bit of char on there, and the recipe writers recommend, which I tried also, is to actually broil it for 3 minutes when it's done baking. Gives you a little bit of char on the top, which is very nice. So this is a great recipe. Really glad I tried it. We tried all 3 chicken fajita recipes today. I thought they all turned out pretty good. I like cooking the ingredients separately. Actually, I like the second one a lot. The flavorful chicken fajita was probably my personal favorite out of the 3. All right, so what did we learn from chicken fajitas today? First tip, no matter what recipe you're using, try to marinate your chicken and your veggies. It just tastes better after the end. Next, don't trust cook times on recipes. They're pretty much always wrong. Next, if you're using a skillet, cook your chicken and your vegetables separate. You'll end up with perfect results on both. And finally, use flour tortillas. All 3 recipes we used flour, so it must be right. I'm sure we'll get 0 comments about how flour tortillas are trash. Thanks for watching another episode of the Dinnernet. Go ahead and check out all 3 recipes we tried. The links are in the description. Be sure to hit that big subscribe button and the little notification bell thing so you get new recipes when they come out. See you soon. We're making a fajita, making a fajita. How many fajitas are too many fajitas? I'm feeling a little fajitaed out today, I must be honest with you.